Academic writing. For a lot of us, just hearing that phrase can be a little intimidating. But what if I told you it's one of the most powerful skills you can ever learn? Today, we're going to break it all down and turn it from this big, scary challenge into a clear, totally manageable process.
Oh yeah, we've all been there, right? The deadline is getting closer and you're just staring at that blinking cursor on a blank page. It's a universal feeling, but I promise, it doesn't have to be your story.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to talk about why this skill even matters so much. Then we'll dive into the blueprint for planning everything out. After that, we'll get into building a rock-solid argument, and I'll give you a few essential tools for your writer's toolkit. And we'll wrap up with the absolute must-knows of academic integrity. By the end of this, you'll have a clear roadmap from that blank page to an essay you can actually be proud of. Okay, first things first. Let's completely reframe how we think about writing. This isn't just about ticking a box or getting a good grade on one assignment. It's so much bigger than that. And it really, truly is a skill for life. Seriously, whether you end up writing research articles, patient information leaflets, or maybe even a book chapter one day, being able to communicate your ideas clearly and persuasively, well, that's something that's going to serve you your entire career. And hey, if you find it tough, you are absolutely not alone. This is such a common feeling, just like this student shared. But the good news is, like any other skill, it's something you can learn and get better at with the right strategy. All right, now for what I think is the most critical phase of all, the planning. This is where the magic happens. Seriously, this is what makes the actual writing part so much easier. This slide basically breaks down a huge task into simple, bite-sized steps. And here's the secret, okay? Writing is the last thing you do. The first 5 steps are all about prep work, really digging into the prompt, gathering your info, and structuring your ideas. If you can master these, the writing part will feel like a breeze. And this just nails the point, doesn't it? This is from a 4th-year student who's been through it. The real work, the heavy lifting, it all happens in the planning. You get that right, and the essay almost writes itself. So what does this planning actually look like? Well, here are some tools you can use. First, do all your reading before you even think about structuring anything. Use visual tools like mind maps. They can help you see connections you might have missed. Figure out what your core message is, but also look for the gray areas, the debates and disagreements. That's where the really interesting analysis happens. And a huge tip, literally keep the essay question in front of you the entire time. It'll keep you on track. Okay, so we've got our solid plan. Now we can start actually building the essay. This part is all about turning that blueprint into a strong, persuasive argument that flows really well. Here is the golden rule of paragraphs. Super simple, one central idea per paragraph. You'll usually put that main idea right in the first sentence, and then the rest of the paragraph is just there to back it up with details and evidence. It's a simple structure, but it makes your argument incredibly easy for the reader to follow. Now, to make sure your essay doesn't feel like just a random list of points, you need something to connect them all. That's where link sentences come in. Think of them like the glue that connects the end of one paragraph to the start of the next one. They guide your reader along, making the whole thing feel smooth and logical. This is such a great example. Sometimes you have all the right pieces, they're just in the wrong order. A simple shuffle of your paragraphs plus a few good linking sentences can totally transform a confusing essay into a really compelling story. All right, let's add a couple more handy tools to your writer's toolkit. These are some specific techniques you can use to really polish your writing style and structure. A common question is about active versus passive voice. Just look at the comparison here. The passive voice can sometimes sound a little more, academic, but honestly, the active voice is usually way more direct, more confident, and just plain easier to read. Don't be afraid to say, "I will argue" or "I will demonstrate." It makes your position crystal clear. Okay, now this next tip might sound completely backward, but trust me, it's a total game changer. How can you properly introduce an argument you haven't even fully written yet? It's almost impossible. So write the main body of your essay first. That way you'll know exactly what your main points and conclusions are. Then you can go back and write a perfect introduction that sets the stage for what the reader is about to read. Our final section is, well, it's arguably the most important one. All your fantastic writing and brilliant arguments have to be built on a foundation of academic honesty. Plagiarism is about way more than just copying and pasting text. Here's the key thing to remember. If you use someone else's idea, Even if you put it completely in your own words, you have to give them credit with a reference. It's all about acknowledging where the intellectual work came from. So, how do we give that credit? Well, there are two main systems you'll probably run into. The Harvard style uses the author's name and the date right there in the text. The Vancouver style uses a number that links to a reference list at the end. Just check which style your course or institution prefers and then stick with it. And this right here is how you make sure you never have to worry about it. The best way to avoid plagiarism is just to build good habits from day one. Keep track of your sources as you go. Always use quotation marks for direct quotes. And most importantly, your goal is to synthesize ideas, to bring different sources together to create your own argument, not just stitch together paragraphs from other people. Because, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. An essay isn't just a memory test. It's an opportunity. It's your chance to really show that you've wrestled with a topic, you've understood different points of view, and you've come up with your own insightful take on it all. So as you face that next blank page, don't think of it as a chore. Think of it as a stage. You've got important ideas, you have a unique perspective, and you have a story to tell. And with the right plan and the right tools, you can absolutely tell it powerfully.